Hi, I'm Brennan, and I'm with Street Rodder Magazine, and we're here in Chattanooga, Tennessee at my most favorite place, and that's Coker Tire, and we're here with Corky Coker, and we happen to be, I'm going to say, in one of your favorite rooms.
It is a favorite room, but really, it's all about the cars, and at Coker we like to say it's all about the tires, but it's really all about the people. So yeah, we're glad you're here, Brian.
That's right.
We're glad you're here.
I'm sure Corky has a list of friends that would wrap around this building many, many times, and somewhere in that list I'd like to think I'd find my name, but I've known Corky for a few years and have always enjoyed his passion for cars. And when Corky just mentioned it's all about the people, that is absolutely correct. It is all about the people, and that's what makes our hobby, our sport, so much fun. But let's look at the cars.
Yeah, the cars
are here for the cars.
The cars bring us together.
That's
right. We all have this
that.
passion and all this love for street rods and hot rods and vintage cars and race cars and antique trucks and motorcycles and everything mechanical. Yeah. But the car people around those are the best people in the world because we feel and share each other's passion. But it still is, the cars are kind of cool, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to let Corky take us around here. We're going to do a hot lap and see what we've got. And you're going to find out right away that Corky has an eclectic love for cars. So we're going to find them all over the genre, the years, the build styles, you name it. Corky's got something that's there. Start us off right here.
Okay, let me tell you, this first car that we have right behind Brian is a 1913 National Series V, which was a car that National raced. And in fact, in 1912, you could see this big poster right up on the wall behind this car. National won the Indy 500 in 1912. So this is a very rare car, big horsepower, great big jugs. You got to see the pistons on this car.
Okay.
This car is absolutely amazing. This is called a T-head motor, but you just have to appreciate the motor and look at the jugs on that car. That is a huge, big old T-head motor, and this is what's called, Brian, a ground pounder.
Yeah.
When these pistons go up and down, you hear
thump,
it
thump.
goes thump, 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 thump. Wonderful car.
Now, just real quick, I know you have a passion for Indy.
Yeah.
And just tell us some of what you love about Indy. What is it with you and Indy cars?
Well, when you look at, the Indy 500 was, the best and most famous race that, in the world, quite frankly. And it started in 1911. And from all the racing, engineering prospered. Automotive engineering prospered, and they figured out things like on our 1911 Marmon Wasp, the very first rear view mirror for the whole automotive industry was created by a guy named Ray Haroon, so he could have a single cockpit without his mechanic. So I love that about it, and I love that the men were real men. They were real men because they were out there doing 100 miles an hour in open air cars, and the wheels were flying and the smoke was burning. It was just exciting.
Racing. It was racing.
It's racing at its best.
Now, okay, so now here we have a little bit of history on Indy, and I think every hot rodder in the world can identify with that. Now we're going to come over, and this is what I meant about your eclectic love of cars. And this is something that I think GIs from World War II know a lot about, these little early MGs and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I see you got a string of them.
Yeah, we've got a whole string of European cars here, and everybody, when I was growing up in the vintage car hobby, as you mentioned, my collection is very eclectic. I've got British cars, and I've got a few German cars, and I've got race cars and hot rods and brass cars, but everybody loves a little MG.
Yeah.
And, it's just kind of sexy, and for its day, the guys coming back from Vietnam even, they just had to have something. They dreamed of a nice little roadster that they could take their girlfriend out and go necking with or whatever. So I've got the little MGTD. This is a 51 TD. I've got a 55 TF, and then an MGA, a TR6, a couple Austin Healey's. I think Austin Healey's are probably one of the sexiest man sports cars out there.
This car in the 60s I know from my experience, okay, I had hot rods, I was into muscle cars, I did all of that. There was something very cool about having this.
Oh, yeah.
When you were cruising down the road. Let's slide on down here. And you were talking about Heelys and whatnot.
Yep.
We're sliding into them now.
Yeah, this is a 1960 BN7, which is a little two-seater car. It's not a four-place car.
Yeah.
The BJ8 in the little light blue car is a four-place car. Of course, you know, you got to be, you know, very altitude challenged and small in order to sit in the rear seats of this car. But this car is disc brake car, very rare car. They only made 367
What year?
of them.
What year?
1960. They made them in 60 and 61. It's called a BN7.
Okay.
Bob Nancy 7. So a very rare car. This was owned by a local guy here for a number of years, and I ended up with it and just got it running mechanically. It hadn't done anything to it cosmetically. I kind of like the original patinas on cars.
Do you get a chance to exercise your cars often? Do you get them out?
I do. I wish I would able to push back from the table and exercise myself a little bit more, because I've, you know, I wintered up a little bit. I wintered up.
So you're protected for that long winter. Now,
This is a TR250.
Yeah.
This is only 1 year made. It was a transition from the TR4 and the TR4A to the TR6. It's a TR250. It's a 6-cylinder car. Really amazing little car. Wonderful little car. You know, it has about the same displacement as the TR6. A little bit smaller, but still a 6-cylinder car, and really goes down the road. Sexy car.
Let's start right up here in the front.
All right.
Now that car looks very familiar.
You ought to recognize that car.
Yeah,
you wrote about that car quite a bit, didn't you?
Yeah. What we really liked about this particular car, what made this car noteworthy, was the fact that the Ford motor had just come out, the new 6-cylinder V6
EcoBoost,
motor.
twin turbo EcoBoost, and in fact, this was the first use ever in a street rod.
Oh, not only that, but this was the motor that was at the SEMA show on display. And if you remember correctly, when the show was over, we literally rolled
it down to our display.
We rolled it out of Ford's
with
booth and said, "Here's the motor you're waiting for."
Yeah,
that was a slick way.
Yeah, that was and we had trouble at the time. I think our good friends in Memphis at Fast helped us with the with all of the computer architecture for this car, because Ford hadn't designed it in order to give it to the aftermarket yet.
In fact, it was an engine transmission combination, and truth be told, it was really out of a truck.
Yeah,
that's where this came from, and we had Ford Engineering spent countless hours trying to help us out.
Well,
and but it worked out great. It's got what I love about it is the PPG gold on this. This reminds me of maybe late 50s, early 60s custom color.
Yeah,
it looks
PPG
good.
really did a wonderful job with this color too. And when you take this car out in the sunshine versus inside under the LED lights or in the an overcast, it just changes colors and it's really beautiful. So
I know that. I mean, I'm looking in here and I see my Dakota digital gauges and my low car shifter, and I know I've got my vintage air in there. It just brings back a lot of memories. And Jerry Berger, who was a freelancer who works for us all the time, he lives almost literally around the corner.
He just lives up on the
mountain.
Yeah, up on the mountain.
But he lives in Georgia.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But he lives close by, and he was here, I'm going to say almost every day, taking pictures and whatnot. And I can remember coming in the last week when you guys were thrashing on the interior, trying to get this done, and oh my gosh, there's some late hours. Your guys put in some late hours.
It's a great car, and I love to hear those twin turbos kick in when I drive this car. It's a fun piece.
That's good. If we spin around now.
Yeah. Yep. This is a 1954 Century. The build was started by a guy in Arkansas, and he passed away, and we bought the car and brought it on in and finished the paint, did the interior, did everything to finish the car. He had started the build with the nail head. This has got a late model nail head, and it is an amazing, if I can figure out how to get this, it's an amazing car. you know, it's a nice cruise car. This car you can cruise all day long with late model vintage air, etc. And it's got an LED screen for GPS and automatic windows, and you know, it'll cruise at 85 miles an hour
No,
on the highway.
I remember this car was painted, but the interior wasn't in, and you were still doing the stuff squaring away the engine at about the time we brought this in. Because we figured, what the heck, if you're in the middle of one build, let's get you in the middle of a second.
You're doing one, it's like, you know, alcoholic drinks beer. If I have one, I might as well have 20.
That's right.
This is a fun use of 50s era plaid, and you know, with it's got a lot of low car stuff in it as well. It's a really wonderful car. Fun thing about this car, you might look, come here, let me show you. This car has a radio speaker right here, but it's really more than a radio speaker. You flip it down and that's where your GPS
it's got all
and your drink
modern day electronics.
all your modern stuff is right there. And it just hides from you. This is a really interesting piece. This is a TV car that I bought on one of those History Channel shows.
American Pickers. I remember.
American Pickers. It's a 1919 Franklin air-cooled car. And this car is original. This just has linseed oil on it. Now, if you want to make a car look like it's, dress it up a little bit, you know, and keep the original patina, I'll give you a little tip. Never pile your linseed oil rags in a pile. You know why? They'll just go boom and burn your garage down.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need that. But this is it's a big 6-cylinder car, about a 48 horsepower car for 1919. Original interior. There were 5 pounds of rat turds in this car.
Well, that does happen when they're in a barn.
When they're in a barn forever. But we did all the mechanical and just cleaned it up. And you know, it has interesting shades on every single window. The seats swivel. And an interesting thing about this engine is you see all of the air dams, etc. The fan is behind the engine and pulls the air across the engine. It pulls, and it's got fins just like a motorcycle engine for air cool. If you had an XKE convertible, you were the cat's meow for sure. And whatever that means, I don't know.
No, that's a good thing. That's a West Coast thing. That's a good thing. Now, this was what we would have called British Racing Green. I'm not sure if that's the correct color.
This is a 69 Series 2 6-cylinder. Really wonderful little car. A little Porsche Speedster. Fun little cars, obviously. This is a fun little car. You never have more fun than in a Morris Mini
and that's
Cooper
even,
S.
even right-hand drive.
It is. We got that car. My wife and I did the Targa Tasmania in Australia. Bought that car, did the Targa, and came back. We had like 6 bags of luggage, and we carried it in that Mini.
The fastest I've ever gone around a corner on West Avenue in Anaheim. Now, for all of the guys in Southern California, they're going to know that's the street that goes around Disneyland. And when we'd come out of the parking lot, it was all full steam ahead.
As fast as you can go.
I have never been around a corner faster than I've been in that.
Well, the wheels are on all 4 corners, so it's
a go-kart.
It's like driving on a car on rails.
Yeah, it is. Let's turn out. We got some whites over here.
Yeah, this is a 1913 white. Locally, my good friends at Chattanooga Whiskey, I loaned this little depot hack to them, and they created the Chattanooga Whiskey Mobile, and it's hand cranked, and they would drive it everywhere. So, fun piece, not expensive, a little 4-cylinder, and starts and runs and drives.
Now, sitting right next to it is one heck of a fire truck.
That's a 1925 American LaFrance. That's 900 cubic inches of T-head motor. That's what you really call a ground pounder.
That's a thumper.
That's a ground pounder. I'll tell you a funny story about my tire business. These were really rare size. This is a 38 by 7 or a 750 by 24. I flew to Montevideo, Uruguay, because I'd seen that tread design with their name on it, with Tire Factory's name on it, and I bought that mold. When I showed up, they said, "No, we don't have it. We got rid of all of our molds." And I said, "Can I go look?" I had an interpreter, and we went back in the back, and I found that mold, and I made them sell it to me, and brought it back and put it back in the old original B.F. Goodrich logos, and put it back into production.
Let's go over to the tire side real quickly here. How many molds do you think Coker Tire has?
I know exactly.
Well, how many?
Well, in production, we have about 1,600. We have probably 5 to 8 variations: white wall, double white walls, red lines, that sort of thing. Now, in our warehouse over on Rossville Avenue, we probably have about 1,000, 1,100 that are sitting in the warehouse. It's like when you walk into that warehouse, it's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. When you're walking through and they've got the Ark in a box stacked up back there, it's what it looks like. But all of those molds, we have a special relationship with Bridgestone, Firestone, and Michelin for B.F. Goodrich and U.S. Royal and Michelin and Firestone, that when they discontinue a tire size, like say, S15s or the Typhoons, and if the tire that they made original equipment for that, they don't need it anymore. Instead of scrapping it, they send us a list. We get to buy them, and we put them over there until they come back around again.
And so they will.
They will.
They will.
They will.
In fact, I just picked up some tires for my '68 Corvette that I'm restoring.
Oh yeah.
And what's nice though is you made these beautiful F60 15.
Yep. Radials.
Done them in a radial.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna like that.
Yeah. They
look cool.
Firestone white ovals.
Yeah.
It looks like the Bisplat tire. Got all the original script on it, and it's got a more square profile, but it's still a little rounded, so it's got the radial ride and performance.
How many motorcycle tires do you think you do?
Oh gosh, I know. We've got about 170 sizes. It's interesting, Ryan, when you go to the Harley Davidson Museum in Wisconsin or in Ohio, Pennsylvania, you'll go into their museum and you'll look on all the bikes that it has Coker on all the tires. I've loved bikes forever, and just one of the things that has been fun for me is to design and put something back into production that maybe didn't make sense today, but it will tomorrow. And so we've got diamond treads and Firestone non-skids, and it's really fun, and I love bikes.
And you don't make just tires for tire's sake, and by that I mean you make them for the restorers.
Yep.
You make them for the hot rodders.
That's right.
You make them for cars and motorcycles and trucks. I mean, you make it for the entire automotive aftermarket, and you literally are a one-stop shop.
I guess the reason for that, Brian, is because Wade Kawasaki, our president, and myself, and a number of our guys, we're enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And we want what we want, and we go to events all over. In fact, we'll soon be out at Laguna Seca and, out at the track, and we'll be at Pebble Beach and Concorso Italiano, and, we're at the Street Rod Nationals, and we see what people want because we are them.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
You mentioned trucks. Yeah. Now we're going to swing over here because you got a little bit of a truck collection going on here.
253 F100s. I've got 3 grandsons.
Yeah.
And I have.
So you're short one.
I've got one over in the shop over there that's a 55. It's not a 53, but they're just fun trucks. My grandsons could have, whatever they wanted, I guess. Yeah. But wouldn't it be cool when they turn 16 or 18 and all 3 of them are driving to school and they're all showing up in F100s?
They're going to learn a lot about history and their background. That's a good roots car.
You know something? If we don't know where we came from, we don't know where we're going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this this truck has a logo on the side.
Yes,
Real
sir.
quick, just tell us a little something about Honest Charlie.
This Honest Charlie Speed Shop was the first mail-order speed shop in the country. Started in 1948 and designed by Honest Charlie Card, who was the second inductee into the SEMA Hall of Fame as a mail-order speed shop. Yeah. Now, there are some big companies that have started. Alex Exidius started a little bit earlier, but he wasn't a mail-order speed shop. He wrenched on cars, and they made
SoCal Speed Shop.
SoCal Speed Shop.
Yeah,
they wrenched on cars. They weren't a mail-order Honest Charlie designed and started mail order speed business, and we resurrected Honest Charlie Speed Shop in 2000.
Yeah, it's just next door.
Just next
to where
door.
we are right now.
Yep, just right next door, and it's really a fun thing. This was the hero truck on a television show my son-in-law and daughter and I had in 2013 called Back Road Gold, and we would drive this and buy cars all over the South. And
tell us a little something about the other 53.
the other 53 came out of Ponca City, Oklahoma. It is an original truck that has been fixed on a little bit, and I heard about it. My son-in-law is from Ponca City, Oklahoma, so he heard about it, and he said, "Hey, I found another F100." I said, "Get it." I just love the designs of these trucks. I just think they're really fun. I'm kind of a pickup guy. Next to it you see a 19.
I know, I got my eye on this one here.
1937 Ford. It's got a Columbia 2-speed rear end. It's got a number of little.
You've got air conditioning.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's got a number of little fun things done to it. So you can see the Offenhauser heads and alternator, etc. Free flow exhaust. Columbia speed.
This thing looks like it'll start right up.
It's a good running little truck. And as you mentioned, the water cooled air conditioner. You just put a little water in it, and it flows over the water right into the cab, and it does your natural air conditioning.
I've experienced your humidity around
here.
Oh my! So a little cool air blowing on me is pretty good.
We say God lives back here, back east, but I was in LA the other day.
He vacations in
LA, so he doesn't have the humidity.
I got to tell you my love affair with the Scout too. Sure. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, I used to off-road race.
Yeah.
And I used to off-road race for International Harvester.
Wow.
And that's when these things just came out.
Yeah.
And there was a fellow by the name of Jimmy Jones, and he was out of San Diego.
Yeah.
And he had a factory sponsorship, and he and I were good buddies. And I used to sit in that seat right there, and we did every road race you could imagine, off-road race for a number of years.
And you're saying, hard turn, you've got the map, you know where the elevations are.
We used to have microphones in between our helmets and speakers, and we used to sit there, and if I gave him one, that meant he was okay. If I gave him two, he could go to the next gear. In fact, I even did the shifting.
Really?
All he did was, he did, like he didn't do anything. No, it was the driver's concern was to handle that car as fast as he could, and he believed me when I said you can go faster or you better slow your butt down.
Yeah. Well, you got to have the driver's got to have a good navigator.
But he trusted me because I had the right man teaching me, and that was Bill Straub. And he's the one that taught me how to do all that, because Bill sat in the passenger seat for Parnelli Jones for many races.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you tell us about your Scout.
This is a 1976 Spirit of 76.
Yes.
They only made 360 of them. Really a wonderful car. And let me tell you about this car. This is a half of a V8.
Yep.
That's a slant 4.
Now that is
a slant 4. And if you look at it, you can see the valve cover on that side, and it is, they just took the casting or the original buck and redesigned it to cast a V4.
Well, no, because I remember working on what was then the original V8 in this thing, and I'm looking at this from this side going, that's the V8.
Yeah. And you look over there and say, well, where's the other half? What other half go?
Great.
But we restored this on Back Road Gold. I gave this also to my son. He loves off-road vehicles, and it's a really nice piece. Honest Charlie Garage did the work on this car. It's a fun piece. Everybody comes into my garage, previous to the last couple years, and said, "Well, wait a minute, I don't see any Mopars in here." Well, yeah, I've got a Mopar. I'm sort of a flathead Ford guy and a hot rod guy.
We refer to the Mopar guys as the lunatic friends.
Yeah, the lunatic friends.
Because there is nothing like a Mopar owner dyed in the wool, and he just loves his Mopar. It's got to be Mopar. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely. Fun interior with this car. You need to get a close up of the interior. It's a really fun design. Nice car. We did this also in Honest Charlie Garage. Doesn't bring a lot of money. It's a $15,000, $20,000 car, but still fun.
It's very fun. Before we go any further, it looks like you got some planes stuck on your roof here. Tell me about it.
This is a 1929 Mystic Lake. It was built by a guy in Massachusetts, hand-built car. He was, airplane. He was going to put these into full production. It's got a Lycoming engine in it now, but it originally had a Henderson 4-cylinder.
Now, you mentioned the Dirty Driven Tour.
Yes, sir.
Now, before you get to tell the story on this one, I've got to tell you the story on this one.
Yeah.
It was the first Dirty Driven Tour.
That's right.
And Steve Mole and I were in his Roadster, and I told Steve, oh, how bad can it be? We won't need a top.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a top or anything. And if I remember, you had a top, but I remember you stopping at a hardware store and buying some like plexiglass.
That's it.
And you guys made yourself some quickie windows because we ran into rain,
snow.
We ran into snow,
sleet,
and
it was hail.
And it was hail. It was hail and hail. And you guys were in this, and you were doing just fine. Yeah. And you used to come by Steve and I in his Roadster with nothing, and we looked like we were just bundled up. And you would be laughing your butts off, and of course we were saluting you back, but it was all in jest.
Yeah, this 32 we call it double exposure because it covers both Honest Charlie Speed Shop
on one side
in 1948, and it covers Coker Tire Company on the right side, 1958. 350 horsepower, Roadrunner Engineering. Supercharged flathead. Mike Goodman and I built this car in 30 days, then got on the road and went with the
That's right. You and Mike looked like you were having way too much fun. And Steve and I, to this day, we talk about it, and it was one of the most fun experiences we ever had in a hot rod, especially driving across country.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that we were with you guys and a bunch of other great hot rodders, that's why we do it.
Yeah, that's absolutely why we do it. And we got to see America. We stopped at some really cool hot rod shops and museums and interesting places to see.
We ended up at the Grand Canyon. That was a great time. That's where we picked up Jake. We picked up Jake. He was there, and then we drove into Vegas for the SEMA show. Oh, it was good.
The whole design, Brian, I think several of us talked about getting together and doing this tour, and we wanted to show and display our cars dirty because people needed to drive these cars.
That's right.
And so we wanted to display them and show people and prove to people that we're driving these hot rods instead of just going to a cruise in and getting out our lawn chairs and watch everybody, go by. So we drove these cars and all the way across America, and I remember Mike Goodman and I just looking at each other and just dying laughing.
Oh, yeah.
And we weren't laughing at Steve Mole and Brian Brennan. We were.
Well, you were.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were. But we just looked and said, how fun is this? This is just cool.
No, it was very cool.
Yeah.
Now, sitting right next to this, this is the finer gentleman in you coming out. Is that what we might call this Ferrari?
I say often the only thing good about me is Jesus. But anyway, this is a 1978 308 GT. It's got a 1981 on it, but it's an actually 78. This is a Thomas Magnum car. By the way, I was just out for the SEMA installation banquet. My wife and I were flying back home, and my good friend Barry McGuire was inducted, and Doug Evans, our good friend Doug Evans, and G.G. Carlson was inducted. When we were flying out at the airport in the Delta Sky Suite was Tom Selleck.
All right.
Yeah, it's Tom Selleck.
Well, he's my hero.
Yeah.
He's one of my heroes. You're my hero, too.
Well, thank you, Brian. What I wanted to say to Tom, and I didn't get a chance to speak to him, because I kind of left him alone, but what I wanted to say is more cowboy movies. More cowboy movies.
He has done some great ones.
He has.
Yep. Now, hiding right next to this Ferrari, we got ourselves a little 67 Camaro.
That's right.
And how long have you had this?
I've had this since about 13. This is the 327 4-speed. Original car's been painted, but I got this car out of Fresno, California. Very solid. There was about 2 inches of dust on this car when we found this car. Rolled it up. I bought about 5 cars in this one garage. Guy got a little old. That's kind of the problem that each of us have. Our teeth get long and our hair gets gray, and
well, at least you have hair.
yeah, that's.
I'm struggling with the other one. We're losing it. Before we go back around, I see a wall of motorcycles.
Yeah. It starts off with Harleys. This is a 1950 WR. That's a factory race Harley. I've got the guy's sweater, his helmet, his leather breeches. I've got everything that the guy used. Guy named Bill Flowers was a second fastest, number 2 racer on oval tracks in 1950. Harleys, Excelsiors. I love Excelsior. Excelsior started in 1907 and finished in 1931. They were bought out by Ignace Schwinn. Really, really fun pieces.
We're starting to get in the way of your tour.
We'll go back around the other way.
Sneak back around this way.
I love old Federal trucks.
Now,
Federals were made in
big trucks.
Yeah, were made in Detroit, Michigan. This is a piece out of California that's an original 1925 delivery truck, and it's got all the 2-wheelers and fun pieces.
Real quick, those look like the inner tubes.
Yeah, I know.
What am I looking at here?
Well,
no tread whatsoever.
In the pre-1920 era, a lot of tire brands didn't have any tread design at all.
Okay.
And especially those that in early design, they started putting tread designs on them because they couldn't get anywhere in the mud.
Yeah.
But you'd be really impressed on how well these would go in the snow, because it just cuts through and gets down to the bottom.
Straight down.
Yeah.
Now, what do we have hiding next door?
Oh yeah, this is a 1941 Diamond T. Diamond T. This is a car hauler in progress. I plan on putting a Cummins motor in it and a ramp bed on it, so that I can go down the road fast, pull a trailer, and pull whatever I want to it. On the back of this car is a 1911 Westcott. If you'll Google and go on to YouTube and type in 1911 Indy 500, there's a video of a real video of the 1911 race, and it shows a number of cars coming around, including the Marmon Wasp that won. And then there's a car that you see a guy, the mechanic, fall out, and then a guy swerves and wrecks, and that was the Westcott. So we're going to reproduce the original Westcott that raced in Indy.
Now we've got ourselves our basic trailer.
Yep. This is a
teardrop.
This is a 1937 Mastercraft trailer. It's pulled by my 1936 Packard.
Okay.
Big 8-cylinder, straight 8. This is an original piece. It's fun to hook up and go around to a cruise in or something, and you got a place to hang out with your guys and with your buddies, and it's original interior, fun piece.
Now I see you're propped up against a bus.
Yes,
Tell me,
sir.
it looks like a tour bus. Yellowstone.
This is Yellowstone. This is a 1936 Yellowstone bus, 14-place car. What more fun can you have than taking 14 of your best friends out in a convertible bus to dinner?
Do you know who has, I'm not going to say the exact same year, but within a few years of this, the twin to this?
Who's that?
Man's name is Alan Rapinski. He was the founder of Armor All.
Wow.
And back when I used to take care of his car collection, we came up with one of these, and we had it restored, except we put a big 427, big block Chevy in it, and it would go down the highway just as nice as could be. Yeah, we used to use it for, work functions with the employees.
You take the employees out, and
it's fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
Now,
I enjoy this. This is an original piece.
Yeah. What do you got here?
This is a 1922 Federal. This was, we all think back on our history of restoring cars and building hot rods, etc., and said, I wish I'd have done that different. This was so original. It was amazing, and I restored it. I wished I'd never done it. I wished I had, because it had the original paint on it, had everything, all the original A.R. Thorpe.
Yeah.
This is a 1922 Federal Fast Express. Pneumatic tires. It'll burn the roads up at 25 miles an hour. But in the 1923 Federal brochure, it's got a picture of this truck, this very truck.
It's a nice piece.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
Yeah, but this is my original 55.
Boy, it is. It is. Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
This will fix anything.
Why,
Little speed
absolutely,
thing.
little baling twine,
Yeah.
little wire.
Now, where did
And
you
then
say you found this in town?
I found this in Chattanooga, Tennessee. You know, a couple of my good friends, you know, K.O. Irwin and, you know, Nunu Lowry and those guys all knew about this car. But, you know, when you hear that everybody else knows about it, you know when you go see it that
It's
you
not-
got to just say,
yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because it is a
that's
really,
cool.
really wonderful car. Solid as can be. Floorboards are solid. Original car. 36 Packard.
Just take a look at that.
120 trunk sedan. It's got 35,000 actual miles on it. Also a Chattanooga car. I was called in to appraise 2 cars for an estate. The old maid bachelor died and had 2 cars, and he died in Georgia. So this, in order to get the state income tax stuff done, I went to appraise it and ended up buying it.
Now, you've got a beautiful Cadillac
Yeah,
sitting next to it.
47 Cadillac. This car belongs to my daughter. We did paint on it. We were thinking we were going to do paint on it, but we ended up doing a complete restoration.
And the Chrysler?
Chrysler Town and Country was restored for a guy by my father in the 70s, and we got a call from a lady. She said she wanted to dispose of it.
So
I
you
bought
disposed
it.
of it.
I bought it.
How
Gave it
about
to
a
my-
shoebox? 49?
Shoebox. This was our first barn find.
Yeah.
49 Ford. This is an original 1930 Murray body town sedan. It's got original.
Yeah, it's
motor
our
hair.
basic. It's our Model A.
Yep.
We all
when
love it.
I was 6 years old, I used to ride in this car. This you heard
Is this
of?
a Whippet?
Yeah, this is a Whippet. You heard of Little Debbie snack cakes?
Yeah.
This was O.D. McKee's car.
Okay.
O.D. McKee's Whippet.
All right.
And you know we display it for him. This car was put
Another
together
Model A.
by my grandfather, Pop Coker. I asked him to put it together for me, and you would have thought I gave him $1 million. Excuse me. He
Bless
brush
you.
painted it,
Yeah.
and
I like that.
you know I wouldn't trade that car for anything. This is a 1910 Nyberg. Was built in Chattanooga. 4-cylinder, overdrive, go fast car. This is an interesting car. This is an American Simplex made in Mishawaka,
Yeah.
Indiana. This is a 50 horsepower 2-stroke.
Two-stroke.
2-stroke.
It's got a sound.
Oh
funny
yeah,
going
it
down the
sounds
road.
like it's going to come apart
Yeah.
until you put it in second gear and then it takes off.
Corky, I just want to take a moment and thank you for taking some time out of your day, because I know you're a busy farmer now.
Yes, sir.
I know you're out there enjoying life and
Farmer, banjo picker, and
Yeah, all the good
that
stuff.
Good stuff.
all
yeah.
the good stuff.
Grandfather.
We know that the Tri-Five Nationals are coming up this
Yeah.
weekend here in Bowling Green.
That's right.
We're up against a 56 Chevy here, and you said this is a big block powered
Yes,
car.
sir.
I can't think of a better way to end this segment than stand up next to this 56, and thank you very much for a great time. You are fantastic for the industry.
Well, thank you.
You are the reason why guys hot rod.
Well,
It's all
you
about
know,
the people.
it is all about the people, and we enjoy what we do, and I hope that shows.
It
I hope
does.
our good friends that you know with Tri-Fives have a great time. You know, this little car doesn't get the respect being the floater in between the 55s and the 57s, but 56s are great. I hope you guys have a great time at
We
the
will.
Tri-Five Nationals, and thanks for coming by to see us.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Corky.